In 2019, as brutal winter storms rolled across the American Northeast and Midwest, over 1,600 inmates at MDC Brooklyn, New York, shivered in cold, dark cells. Power outages and staff negligence had led to a lack of power, hot water, heating, and hot food. The incident would be called the 2019 Winter Crisis, another negative media spotlight on one of America's worst prisons. Unfortunately, as the trial of embattled FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried draws to an end, the chances of him being sentenced to MDC Brooklyn grows. If you're wondering what Sam Bankman-Fried's prison life might look like, you should stick around to the end of this video. We have crawled the nooks and crannies of MDC Brooklyn, and with each rolling minute, we paint a picture of the woes that await SBF behind bars. Let's begin. Fraud mastermind or overzealous tycoon? The ongoing trial of Sam Bankman-Fried has been thrilling, to say the least. Currently one of the biggest news in the crypto space, the question to be answered is, was SBF a second Bernie Madoff, or was he simply another pompous businessman who went over his skis? Prosecutors have brought strong evidence that paints him as the biggest scammer of the 21st century, and it includes testimonies from his former coworkers, such as SBF's ex-lover Caroline Ellison and former FTX CTO Nissan Singh. Ellison has proven to be SBF's worst nightmare, and her testimony has been particularly damaging. In contrast, Mark Cohen and the rest of SBF's lawyers have found it difficult to shape the defense narrative. The blame, as they see it, lies with FTX's legal team and other FTX executives. SBF was simply a victim of circumstances and had not knowingly committed fraud. Sadly, the public and jury are not buying it. The legal banter continues as the trial grows more intense. With the defense struggling to carry the day, SBF might be forced to take the risky move of standing in the witness box. Such a move would either put events in his favor or destroy his case. If Sam Bankman-Fried is found guilty by the jury, presiding Judge Louis A. Kaplan would be handing him a life sentence. Like Icarus, SBF flew too close to the sun, and now the media is giving the world front-row tickets to his downfall. From penthouse to jailhouse. In 2021, when the going was good, Sam Bankman-Fried lived the billionaire's life. He lived in a $39 million penthouse in the Bahamas along with other FTX executives, had an on-and-off romance with Alameda Research CEO Caroline Ellison, and had the crypto world hooked to his Twitter posts. Crypto assets were soaring in value, and FTX, then one of the world's largest crypto exchanges, was reaping profits in billions. As the man who controlled both FTX and Alameda Research, SBF was swimming in the massive pool of luxury that capitalism dug for him. But, as the saying goes, even the sun sets in paradise. In the spring of 2022, a crisis hit the crypto market, and it tumbled down from $3 trillion in total market capitalization to $1 trillion. By November, FTX was sinking after a report from CoinDesk revealed fishy activities between FTX and its sister company, Alameda Research. Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao was also there to put the final nail in their coffin by going back on his loan offer to Binance's rival. Customers rushed to withdraw their funds, and the cracks in FTX's foundation became wider. Within a week after CoinDesk published its report, FTX was sinking. In December 2022, SBF was extradited to the U.S. from the Bahamas, where FTX was headquartered. He faces criminal charges that include money laundering and conspiracy to fraud. Once called the golden boy of crypto, he had become the poster child of hubris in the new world of digital assets. From Lux to lockup. At each turn in this scintillating case, it seems SBF is adamant about shooting himself in the foot. Already, he's got FTX investors who lost millions red in the face when he refused to just shut up before his trial, constantly putting long-winded, my own side of the story in the media. As though that weren't enough damage, he ended up taking his problems up several notches, moving from frying pan to fire. In August 2023, Judge Kaplan revoked SBF's $250 million bail after ruling that Bankman-Fried had twice interfered with witnesses in his case, constituting a case of witness tampering and, according to the DOJ, obstruction of justice. He had also violated the terms of his bail by using VPN software, which he claimed he used to watch an NFL game. In the first incident, he had contacted current FTX General Counsel Ryan Miller via email and encrypted messaging app Signal. In the message he sent, he wanted a constructive relationship, which would help them share resources. Having escaped any serious punishment, he once again interfered with witnesses when he sent diary entries of his ex, Ellison, to newspapers. Judge Kaplan ruled that these personal writings were intended to taint Ellison's image in the public eye. Before his bail was revoked, SBF lived in relative comfort in his parents' home in Palo Alto, California, playing video games. His relocation to the four walls of a prison cell at Metropolitan Detention Center, or MDC Brooklyn, was soon followed with several complaints by his lawyers. Flesh diet. Sam Bankman-Fried is a vegan, and in a hearing in August, his lawyer Mark Cohen insisted that MDC Brooklyn was not accommodating his client's diet. Instead, they kept giving him a flesh diet. They complained that he had to subsist on bread and peanut butter. Lack of medication. Cohen also asked the court to grant SBF access to his medication, Adderall for his ADHD and Emsum for his depression. SBF has had to continue with 2 doses of Adderall instead of 4. One is given before he goes to the courtroom, and the second is given after his hearing. Lack of internet. As Michael Lewis, the author of a recently published SBF biography, Going Infinite, puts it, SBF would rather live in a jail cell with the internet than a penthouse without one. In an August filing, his lawyers argued that MDC's conditions had made it virtually impossible for him to prepare for the trial. Bankman-Fried has access to an offline laptop that he can use during visiting hours, with his lawyers present, but he cannot reach a key database of materials that is available only via the internet. Twice a week, SBF is allowed to leave the jail and meet with his lawyers at the federal courthouse in Manhattan. However, the internet-enabled laptop he was given for those meetings has limited battery life, and Bankman-Fried has not been permitted an extension cord to charge it, his lawyers said. The internet connection has also been shaky. In total, Sam Bankman-Fried has spent 6 weeks at MDC Brooklyn, and if his complaints show anything, it is his lack of preparation for the bleak reality. He could end up spending his entire life in a cell there, yet it seems he has no idea what prison life in MDC Brooklyn looks like. A living hellhole. Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's accomplice in his sex trafficking racket, was imprisoned at MDC Brooklyn before her pre-trial and described it as a living hell. Her description, it seems, might have been polite after all. The Metropolitan Detention Center Brooklyn is one of the most notorious prisons in the U.S. It houses more than 1,600 inmates and lies in an industrial swath near the waterfront in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. Some inmates are linked to high-profile drug trafficking and terrorism cases, while others are comparatively anonymous New Yorkers awaiting trial. A typical day at MDC Brooklyn goes like this. Inmates wake up at 6 a.m. and must make their beds, mop the floor, and tend to their trash. Next, they might go to work around the facility, serving as prep cooks in the jail's kitchen, providing janitorial services throughout the complex, or assisting at the facility's maintenance shop. At 11 a.m., they eat lunch. Dinner is served at 4 p.m. Meals are supposed to consist of meat such as turkey, a starch like rice, and a vegetable or fruit. But prisoners are served cold cuts, sandwich bread, moldy pound cakes, and as a Change.org petition puts it, unidentifiable food from the kitchen. If Bankman-Fried, a vegan, doesn't like what's on offer at the cafeteria, he can use his $150 weekly commissary allowance to buy peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, worth $3.65 each. He could buy up to 2 of those per day. In between meals and work, inmates are allowed breaks. However, there's no prison yard for recreational activities at MDC. Instead, Bankman-Fried will have to hang out with his fellow inmates in indoor community rooms, where they can play cards, talk, and watch television. Bankman-Fried can also take showers during his downtime. To do so, he would have to join the ridiculously long queue for the 5 separate individual shower stalls. At the end of each day, Bankman-Fried may retire to a communal dorm with rows of bunk beds. However, it's also possible he has been put into protective custody and has his own cell. It does not matter. Either way, getting some sleep would be more difficult than staying awake. Fluorescent lights keep the dorm and other rooms across the jailhouse semi-lit 24 hours a day, inmates' writings show. In addition, inmates can often be heard shouting across cell blocks at all hours of the night, former prisoners have said. Uncomfortable heat and cold is another potential issue Bankman-Fried may encounter during his stay at MDC Brooklyn. According to several local news reports, many parts of the MDC lack heating, and air conditioning units are sparse throughout much of the facility. The 2019 winter crisis at the facility brought these issues to the public eye, yet little was done to remedy the situation. With little variations which are more likely to be bad than good, Sam Bankman-Fried would spend the rest of his life in such conditions if he's found guilty. Even if he is not sent to MDC Brooklyn, his plight might not be any better. The crypto industry has taken a firm stance against him and is hell-bent on making him account for his crimes. In the end, life imprisonment might just be the unfortunate reality for the 31-year-old former billionaire and crypto golden boy.